Louise May, and I am one of the statistics that Stefan just talked about. I'm a farmer in St. Norbert, and I have a livestock and crop 160-acre farm. I've been recently very involved in the backyard chicken movement. I feel that my farm is perfectly located to support urban agriculture, being just on the edge of town. I am within the city limits, so there's a number of ways that I've been involved with urban agriculture. But when my friends got fined for having chickens in their backyard, chickens that came from my farm, I felt that I needed to definitely step up, and because I had already sold heritage chickens to quite a few people, it was important for me to take a stand. The presentation that you're going to see here, actually, if I could ask you to just run through the slides. I'm not going to specifically talk about the information on the slides, so if you could just time it to run through the slides. This is the presentation that we made, that Natalie made, our #1 chicken woman in the city right now. Yes, thank you, Natalie. Has put a huge effort into coordinating and putting this kind of information out to people. This is the presentation that we made to the Executive Policy Committee at City Hall. So I've been asked to talk about process, and from my vantage point as an activist and having been involved in many, many different fights, this one's been very interesting. It came about very quickly, partly because of the fine that Andrea and Sonia had. It made national news, yippee for us in Winnipeg, and there was a sense of it being unfair. And I'm very thankful to our Councillor Harvey Smith, who's here today, who immediately took it up and immediately took it straight to council floor. So that pushed the process forward. Usually when you're coming in with a mission to save something or to change something or to stop something, you have to start at the ground level. You don't get to start right at the council floor with all of the councillors present to hear it. So that was a motion that was backed by Jenny Jabassi, and that obviously got put back for referral to administration. Now, some of you may have been following this for some time. That happened 2 years ago as well, but it got nixed right at the ground floor. So after it went back, we had a quick turnaround, about a 2-week turnaround, to make our first presentation to the Protection and Community Services Committee. That is a first level kind of entry to make a presentation. It has to pass that. And this is where my famous moment, you have to understand, I have a Master's of Fine Arts, and I started life as a performance artist, and so taking a chicken to City Hall and unveiling it in City Hall will go down in my CV as a performance art project, okay? So it has sort of a different kind of a resonance to me, but I'm very aware of how the media works, and I was really scared that they were going to nix it at that level again, and I knew that we had to make a splash. So it was, I guess, a calculated move on my part to say, no, we have to get media attention, and we have to get a lot of it fast. And I have this little collection of gorgeous millefleur hens that are very rare, and I also wanted to bring that idea up, that heritage birds are important. It's very important to keep these genetics alive, and across North America, it is backyard chicken keepers that are creating the market for breeders like myself to keep those hens, those breeds alive. I've been breeding heritage hens for about 8 years, but you know, I've had backyard chickens myself for 25 years. I've always managed to move around from place to place and keep my little clutch with me. So however that is, that's how my life has been, and I really believe in it. It's not rocket science, but it's really important to make this happen. So next level up goes to, after we get through the Community and Protection, we get to the EPC, the Executive Policy Committee, where we really organized the group of us that were working mostly on Facebook, yay Facebook, really coordinated all of our presentations. We got all kinds of scientific papers behind us. We got everybody lined up to do, specific informational presentations, and we presented, and it was received, and it was put back again to the administration. So then now the groundwork has to happen, that again everybody, and I really implore this group here today to use every single resource you have available to you, whatever groups you're involved with, your friends, your neighbors, anybody who you think will be sympathetic to this cause must write a letter to your councillor. You must pick up the phone and phone them. You must get your organizations backing this up. I know that we're all very, very busy, especially this time of year, but it's going to come up very fast after Christmas. We're going to be bang, bang, bang back to these 3 committees, because now it has come back from the Animal Services Department that they will not support this, on the grounds primarily that they're not even able to get a proper cat registry going. So they're concerned that they won't be able to have the administrative infrastructure to organize a registration for chickens. Whereas I feel very strongly that we can self-organize. We do not need the government, and we do not need the bureaucracy to organize us. We can do it ourselves, and we've proven that. So we need to now convince our councillors and that we can do that part ourselves. However, we have 2 bigger challenges, and one of that is, well, we're always challenged with the democratic process at City Hall, aren't we? And in this case, it has been very frustrating in this past short while that certain things have been happening behind closed doors that we are made aware of in certain ways, and we have to now fight the fact that we have a report from Manitoba Agriculture, Food and Rural Initiatives that says that we shouldn't have chickens, and we cannot get a hold of that report, and we cannot get the name of the person who's given us that report. It's not being made public. This is absolutely undemocratic and unfair, but we can't fight that battle. Instead, now we have to get information out that will counter what we think is in that report. The second one, which is also really from left field, and we have a meeting this week with the Humane Society, but the Humane Society has come out strongly against backyard chickens, saying that people being people are probably going to abuse their chickens. Well, I can't tell you how hypocritical I believe this statement to be. I do not know where it's coming from. I have a suspicion of where it's coming from, and I don't even like to speak my suspicion. But frankly, there are almost 40 million birds being kept in abusive situations at industry standards that are regulated. They're allowed to be kept in abusive situations. People eat them. You may as well shut down Kentucky Fried Chicken if you want to really be an animal rights activist for chickens. So, that's not okay. It's not okay for them to say, oh, humans in the city can't take care of their chickens. Well, you know what? We can. And we can also, as a community, we can make sure that we are doing that. So one of the moves that we made right away was to set up a nonprofit organization and constitute a mandate for how we would do that. And one of the first things that I, as a farmer, who have been doing this anyway, offered was, and we have it as written out formally as a memorandum of understanding, that we will create a chicken hospice at my farm, which I love, which I already actually have. I've taken in many different chickens that didn't work out for people. So I have 1 minute left, and I will close by again saying that we are at a climax right now of this fight. And when you're looking at changing bylaws, and we are all very busy people, all probably overworked, all going into Christmas where we want to have our family time. So I just ask you, when you come back in January, to keep this issue on your mind. We're going to keep it up in the forefront in the public. We really need you to everyone needs to, no matter what level of politicization you are at, we all need to take the step further and become more politicized. And what does that mean? It means that you're speaking your own truth to the people who are making decisions, and you are trying to convince them and give them the power to not feel afraid to raise their hand and vote for the right cause. This is such a tiny little part of it, isn't it? And yet it's such an important indicator of how our process is and how we have to take control at a grassroots level and manage and maintain. I ran for city council last time around, and we fought the biggest fight I've ever fought. We raised $30,000 in 3 months, and I couldn't even believe how much support came out, and I lost to the worst councillor that I have ever seen, ever. And he is still there making decisions. So we have to change the system, and I really believe that this is the way we do it. So after the holidays, think chicken. Thank you.